Good morning.
Hey, Seattle.
As always, it's your girls, Jasmine and Shantae.
Welcome to another Thursday morning and another episode of The Way with Jazz and Tay.
We'll be bringing you lots of laughs and class to get you ready for the day and the weekend ahead.
Will it be the way or not the way? Find out and join the conversation.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Way with Jazz and Tay. It's your girl, Jazz and
Shantae.
And we are excited for this week's episode because we have another very special guest on with us.
Yes. So we have Dane Reis, who is also a podcaster. You've had your podcast just for only a year. I was just
Not
realizing.
even.
Just like you just started it, right?
Yeah, mid-June.
Yes,
Wow.
he started mid-June, you guys, but he has about 123 episodes already. And I'm like,
He's
where have
been
you found the
working.
time? I'm like, whoa. Okay. And then
I'm
also,
blasting them out.
you record every day, though, also, right?
I don't record every day. I batch my recording. So I record 2 days a week. And
Okay.
yeah.
That is a really good method. Okay,
Yeah.
we're not even in that segment
I
yet,
know,
but
right?
I want to know all about that. But on top of being a podcaster, he really got his expertise in the niche for his podcast from his long-term professional career as an entertainer. 60 years singing, dancing, and acting all around the world. Like, hello.
I know, right? I've only ever done that here, and barely.
But I just really wanted to know, like, the Vegas shows. What Vegas shows were you in? I've actually been a couple times, and I'm like, I wonder if I've seen a few of your shows.
Maybe. Well, here's the thing with Vegas. That place changes all the
Right.
time.
Oh my
Shows are
gosh.
coming and going and coming
Yeah.
and going. So most of the shows that I've been in aren't there anymore.
Right.
What would have I? Let me think. No. There was Dancing Queen that closed. I was in
Oh.
Jubilee. That was the longest running showgirl show. If you ever saw
Okay.
that closed a handful of years ago. Most recently, I was in Baz. It was at the Palazzo. It's after, the movie director Baz Luhrmann. He did Moulin Rouge, Great Gatsby.
Okay.
Moulin Rouge is one of my favorite movies.
Great Gatsby is
Yeah.
one of mine.
Look at that.
And then Romeo and Juliet, the one with Leonardo
Oh,
DiCaprio.
Leonardo
The good
DiCaprio.
one!
The good
Yes.
one,
I had
Exactly.
I had a would you rather question that was Leonardo DiCaprio based, and I'm really sad I didn't keep it now. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, so we took the 3 stories of those movies, the love stories,
Okay.
and meshed them all into this one 1920s
Ooh.
steampunk world. We had top hats and what do we call them? Like just skinny jeans, combat boots. It was cool. Yeah, it was really an awesome show.
So there was
Danced
death
in
and
pinup.
love and romance.
There was all the things. Exactly. Everyone died at the end except for one guy.
Love it.
Oh.
That's my kind of story.
Wow, that's so Shakespeare.
Mhm.
Indeed.
Okay, so wow, I loved that introduction. That was high energy, you guys. And I almost feel like we don't even need to do an icebreaker, but we're still gonna do it because
Let's go.
that's what
Let's
we
go.
do. Usually to kick the show off, Dane, we like to do an icebreaker to loosen everyone up, and we like to do it centered around, whoever the guest is. I couldn't think of anything. However, I did think it would be cool to hear your most memorable casting call, or maybe like first day on the job, like just something that was like either really bad or really good, like the most memorable.
Okay, I've got a good story for one. So, I can tell the story about the first show that I booked in Vegas, and it wasn't even really necessarily the biggest show that I've booked, but it kind of solidified my relationships and made my foundation in that market. Or I can talk about a show I kind of did miss, but not really, in New York City.
I kind of want to hear that.
Yes.
Let's do that one. Okay. Oh, this story. I haven't told this story on a podcast or live or anything, just to friends.
Oh, I love.
But here we go.
Now I'm
All right.
excited.
Love it.
Okay, so I went to the Boston Conservatory and graduated there, moved to New York, and in that summer, after I had graduated, still had some friends that were in Boston, and I was living in New York, living in Brooklyn. I had booked this brand new equity showcase show, or uh, it's a show that they're trying to get good actors to come in and try to workshop it and make it happen. They have a bit of a performance. So the idea is, hey, are there investors? Does this have a life bigger than this? You know?
Right.
So we're doing this show, and it was called Genesius, and we had a run of shows already, and we had a handful of days off. So I head back to Boston because there's nothing for me to do in New York at the time. So I went back to Boston just for a few days to hang out with my friend Ryan. And we were sitting there one morning, and of course had been up way too late the night before. And in my backpack, just in like the little mesh pocket in the front, there was a little flyer for my show. Right. And I just happened to walk by it, and I just saw it, and I looked at the date, and I was like, looked at my phone. I was like, and it was like 9 in the morning, 8 or 9 in the morning. And I go, Ryan, I'm like, I have a show tonight in New York. And he goes, oh, we got to go. We started freaking out. This was before iPhones. I mean, the iPhone, I think, had just come out, basically. So we got our regular phones. We call our other roommate who had gone home. He's living in California, 3 hours behind us. We call him. We're like, Daniel, you have to wake up, get on your laptop, start looking for flights. We're leaving the house. And then he's trying to look for flights, finding flights. We go we get into a taxi. We get to the T station, like the subway, the tram area.
Right.
We get there, and we figure out, look, flights can't do it. It's not going to work. It's like,
oh my gosh.
We're going to go to the train station. Let's go to the train station. We go to the train station. I go, I need the first ticket to New York, fastest train, anything. And they go, yep, it's that one. And literally, like the movies,
it's pulling off.
Pulled away from the top. You have to be kidding me. I was like, no, this train. And we're like, well, this is the Chinatown bus then. So there we go.
Oh my
we go
gosh.
get a $10 ticket, the Fenghua bus, get there. And he puts me on the bus, and I just sat on this bus trying to read, trying to do anything to distract myself for this entire journey.
Oh my gosh.
4 or 5 hour journey, right, to New York City. I would read entire chapters in this book and go, oh, what did I just read?
Just read, right?
Anything.
Right.
Put it down,
oh my gosh.
Yes.
And I just stared out into the abyss of like, what is happening with my life? Call the producers.
What time was the show supposed to start that day?
I want to say it was like a 4 p.m. show or something
Oh
like that.
man. I'm
been
stressed.
just-
I'm stressed.
Yeah. It was like morning, like I was in another state, in another city, like,
Yes.
a long ways away.
Oh my
On
god.
a bus.
I would have been
And
sick.
I kind of was. It was not good. It was the worst, most traumatic handful of hours of my life. Call the producer, and he's one of the producers freaks out. He's like, "What am I supposed to do?" And the other guy's like, "Well, let's just give you some notes right now and talk about what you could do better in your next show." It's like, great. And I get there. We get into Chinatown. Get off the bus in Chinatown. Get into a taxi. I'm like, "Get to 23rd and 2nd now." And he goes, "Boom!" I got my luggage. I pull it in there, and I get to the theater. I run up the stairs. They've already preset my clothes in the lobby of the theater.
That's nice.
I've thrown all my clothes off, jump into my costume,
Right.
go backstage, and I was very lucky because my role didn't enter until about 25, 30 minutes into the show. Stood backstage, and I literally had about 35 seconds, took a deep breath, walked on stage, like nothing happened.
Dude. No, that's incredible.
My anxiety was through the roof that entire story.
Oh my god.
I was like, it can't get worse.
I don't recommend anyone do that.
Oh my
That's
god.
But you made it. Like you
I did make it. I did make it. In the end, it was all good.
Oh my god.
No, that's
And
a
all
great
the cast-
story.
And all the cast looked at me. They're like, "Ah, Dane."
Because they were not
No one
expecting.
expected me to come
Yeah.
on. No.
Yeah.
Did you have an understudy?
No.
Oh my
One of
goodness.
the producers was literally just going to go out on stage with
Say
the
your
book
lines.
and stand in for me and read the lines. That
Oh
was
my
that was
God.
the solution.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
It was really good that I showed up.
Yeah. No, that was a
Absolutely.
great story. I couldn't even imagine. You know, the
So-
fact the planes, the trains,
Yeah. The
everything.
train is where I would have like started crying probably.
It was literally like a movie. You
Yeah.
couldn't have planned this stuff. It was crazy. I was like, You have to be kidding. This
Yeah.
happens in real life too.
Like everything was set against you. You weren't supposed to make it, but you did.
I
Right.
did. Yes.
I love that. So I was gonna have us tell casting call stories, but I don't even want to top that.
I
Like,
know. I have nothing that's going to
I
ever
don't
top that.
no, like that was just so high anxiety. I cannot believe that happened to you. But like
Yeah.
also that's
no.
amazing that you made it. Like I didn't think that's where the story was going.
Yeah, it's only worth telling because I made it.
Yes, no, right? To go through
That's
all
true.
of that and then to not have it happen.
That's true.
Yeah.
I would go immediately then to a bar and just drink.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Oh, I certainly had a couple drinks after that one. That was,
Like I would take a moment to decompress, just sit there like, wow, the day. the
That
day I've
happened.
had. All of that
Yeah.
happened.
No, I've not had anything, not anything near as that. I one time was doing like a dance piece audition and I just completely like forgot the choreography.
Oh no.
I froze.
Oh,
I
that's
choked.
terrifying.
Yeah, I have.
That's
and
terrifying.
it's crazy because I loved the piece. It was an emotional kind of like piece, and I don't know what. I just got out there and it
It wasn't
left.
there.
It
was
left.
gone.
It completely left
Oh
me.
my god.
I
Look,
just,
you do this. You
I
do
sup-
this career too, like long enough. Everyone has that experience
that happens.
at
Yeah.
some point.
Oh
You
man.
know, it got really crazy. So a lot of my career, I started swinging. Do you know what swinging is?
Like swing
Swing
dancing.
No. So yes, but no. So that is when. Okay, so there's your cast, right?
Right.
And there's all these different dance tracks or acting tracks, different roles, right? And
Right.
there's a swing that learns all of them.
Okay.
So if someone goes down, someone's on vacation, something like this, you got to move around. So you have all the different roles in your head at the same time.
Mhm.
So I've done loads of that. So it's crazy. So I'll have like, there's one time in Vegas I was performing in 5 different shows in 11 different tracks on the strip all at the same time. Just
Wow.
depended on the night that what I might be doing, right?
Yeah.
So what's crazy with the blanking thing, I got to the point where I couldn't even think about the choreography or what I had to do on stage because it would freak me out. I get too stressed out about
yes.
what was coming up in front of me.
Yes.
So I just stopped thinking about it, and I would be on this like in the wings, ready to go on, and honestly, I couldn't tell you what I was supposed to do next.
Right.
Almost ever. I
Yeah.
just go, yep, it's in my brain.
Yeah, I'm here. You know, it's
It'll
gonna
happen. I know it's in there.
exactly.
And just trusting your body and just walking out on stage, and then
Yeah.
it does. Everything happens
Muscle
the way
memory.
it's
Yes.
supposed to happen. But it took a long time to trust my brain.
I can't even
Right.
imagine. Seriously. Ugh.
I was gonna tell the story about I was auditioning for Seattle Fashion Week. I don't even know how many years ago, but I went to the audition, you know, everything was great. Came in, came out, and I realized I locked my no, actually, that's not how it went at all.
Pause, rewind.
Take 2.
So I locked my keys in the car before the audition had even started.
Oh.
So, and back in the day, I don't know why. I still do this.
This
Not
is like
back
a
in the
thing that she
day.
does. She
I
does
lock my
this.
keys in my car or I leave them in my house. Like I just so like it's a thing. Like I have a problem with keys. I don't know.
I have a problem with
But-
sunglasses.
See.
Losing sunglasses. Yeah. And so I locked my keys in my car and I was like, I can't think about that right now. I'm going to go do this audition and then worry about that when I come out.
Yep.
So did the audition. That was over. And I was like, all right, I have to figure out what I'm going to do now. But the gag is, I didn't tell you guys this before. I'd also locked my phone in the car. So I didn't have my keys. I didn't have my phone. And
Ugh.
I was like, I don't know who to call right now.
'Cause you
So
can't.
Right.
so I'm like asking the people around me, like, can I use your phone, please, to like call like a locksmith or my parents or whoever. And luckily there's like far more to the story than we have time for, but like I didn't get in touch with my parents and they told me that, you know, our insurance does free locksmith if you just call them. And I was like, well, that's great, but I don't know what their phone number is. So if I can just get, it was just a whole mess, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my keys did get unlocked after I stood out in the rain for like 2 hours.
Aw. Did you get the
No good.
audition?
I did not get cast.
She's-
Ah.
So, yeah.
Love it. Love it. Now that's a day that just didn't need to happen.
It was a lot of fun. Like the experience of going to a casting call like that was amazing. But it was just like everything else that happened, I was like, oh my gosh. Wow. But that is our most memorable casting call segment. We are going to hop into a quick 2 to 3 minute break. And when we get back, we are actually going to talk to Dane more about his podcast and what inspired it. Stay tuned. You're listening to The Way.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Way with Jazz and Tay. Before the break, we did our most memorable casting call experience. Dan had an amazing story.
Yes.
Don't even know why we shared.
I feel like I was there. I felt everything he
yes,
felt.
I did. I felt the stress, the anxiety, all of it.
Man.
But now
that victory, that dove that you got, like you made it there.
All worthwhile. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into our discussion of your podcast, find a little bit more about it. It's called the You Booked It podcast.
Yes.
And you create and host it. And what you do is you interview successful entertainers, and they shared their journey with you about like the industry and kind of like fundamentals related to it and how they became successful.
Yeah. So the idea came about because of my own experience in the industry, right? So I went to the Boston Conservatory, which at the time was ranked the #1 school in the country for musical theater. And then I left with $120,000 of student debt and not really knowing how to use my skill set. I had this great skill set, but you're like, the stuff no one teaches you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I'm in the real world. How do I make this skill set that I've got work for me in the real world? And of course, I figured it out clearly. And a lot of us do figure it out. But there's so much that can be circumvented if you could just have these conversations with people that have been there, done that, and help these aspiring entertainers, or also entertainers that are currently in the industry, but maybe they've been in it for a while and say they're a dancer and the body's breaking down and you're like, I can't compete with this 22-year-old anymore and my body hurts too much. I need to find something else to do, need a transition in my career, but I also don't want to sell insurance. I want to be in the arts. I want to be in the performing arts. What still fulfills me? So having conversations with people that have had those transitions in their careers, have done it successfully, have found more fulfillment, because the industry is huge, right? It's more than just dancing, more than just singing in musical theater or film. There's, hair and makeup, there's editorial, there's photography, there's marketing, there's everything on the whole production side. So a lot of people never even think that those things exist or even know that they exist when they start going to this industry. So the podcast helps shed light on a lot of that. But one of the interesting parts about the podcast is that I ask the same set of questions to every single guest.
So, to yield different perspective.
Exactly. So it's about how different people answer the exact same questions.
Yeah.
And I did that because as much as I love open form, long form interviews, my mission with the podcast was to be very purposeful and be like, how do people extract the most amount of actionable insight that they can apply to their careers right now consistently? So by keeping it consistent on my end, you already know what you're like. I know what Dane's going to say. What are they going to do?
Yeah,
so it makes it easier to pull that information out of each episode so you can apply it to your career. And when you start hearing the same things again and again and again from different entertainers in different parts of the industry, you start realizing, hey, these are fundamentals that I really need to pay attention to, and I really need to actually be applying to my career because I've heard 104 people say the same thing. Or maybe it's someone that's in the hair and makeup. I had a Danny Katz. She was one of the very first interviews I did, and she does editorial hair and makeup in LA for film, TV, music videos, all sorts of stuff.
Wow.
But she started off in musical theater, right? But she found that, but she also gave so many really great niche golden nuggets for the LA market for editorial hair and makeup.
Yeah.
So if someone's wanting that, then listen to that episode.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's what it's
I'm
about.
gonna have to check that one out.
I know. I'm like, oh, that's a little nugget that I might need to check out.
There we go. I think it's episode 3. Honestly.
Okay, cool.
I absolutely love what you're doing with your podcast, and it's actually extremely inspiring because it's like, I feel like for instance, Jasmine wants to act, and I feel like it's one of those things where we're like, okay, well, how can we make that happen? And it's not easy finding those resources or
Mhm.
like that knowledge out there, especially where we live in Seattle. There is a
It's just
no,
well, it's
there's not really an entertainment industry in
Well,
but it's
Seattle.
not
There
also
not not the same way like New York or
or
right.
Vegas is, but you've got like the Fifth
exactly,
Avenue
You
Theater.
know, Paramount, all
exactly.
that
Yeah, you
stuff.
got some
Yeah.
big stuff going on there.
Yes. So like plays, if you want to do that
Right,
kind of
right. With
acting,
like
but
yeah, like
also
theater kind of stuff. Yeah, it's different. And that's what you were saying too, like when you went to Vegas and that helped solidify your relationships once you like started booking certain things. I feel like it's similar to like out here too. If I was into that and I got into that a little bit
Hmm.
more, then that would be different.
I also think that
Yeah,
relationship building is
Huge.
yeah, is important in any
it's it's
situation.
paramount. It's paramount in this industry because when you're in shows and you're in the theater or even on productions that are shorter, you tend to work with the same people a lot. And
Hmm.
that's
Right,
because people want to work with the people that they know do good work. People don't want to have
right.
to babysit you. People want to know you're going to bring good energy every single day. And relationships are everything. Like I said,
Absolutely.
I had performed in 9 different shows on the Las Vegas Strip, but I only open called audition for 2 of them.
Wow.
That's it.
Oh wow.
Everything else was either a private audition or I was
Hmm.
literally just called and be like, hey,
We
we have
have
a
a
spot.
role.
Yeah, you
Wow.
want to come check it out? And that's it. And the only reason that happens is because I do good work and I'm good to work with.
Right. That's absolutely. Well, that answers one of the other questions. Best advice.
Yeah.
um, I guess what has been your favorite episode to record or your favorite guest thus
Yeah, and
far?
you've got a lot.
Oh,
So
I do
yeah.
have a lot.
Like, is there, I guess on top of that, the reason why I'm asking that is like, has there been anybody else who's kind of like taught you something new? Or like, have
Through
you
this. Yeah.
kind of felt refreshed or inspired by one of your episodes you've recorded?
Yeah, I guess with starting with the guest. So, gosh, it's really difficult because there's so many really good ones. There's a really good one of my favorite interviews is with Jose Luis Lopez. He is a musical theater performer, actor, singer. He has been in the Heights on Broadway. He's in the upcoming movie in the Heights, and his
Okay.
story is amazing. But his mindset about the industry and how to work and to build those relationships and network and everything is so insightful. It's really great, and to do it at a high caliber level is
Right.
fantastic. There's an episode that's coming up on November 1st that is going to be really great. It's with Stephanie Clemons.
Mhm.
She is the associate choreographer and the dance captain of Hamilton on Broadway. So anybody that comes into Hamilton, she teaches them the show, and she's amazing. And everything she
Yeah.
has to offer is gold.
That is so cool. Ooh, a nugget.
I know, right? Looking out for that one. Jose Luis Lopez.
Yes.
And oh
Yep.
shoot, I can't remember episode 3. Episode 3.
Episode 3, Danny Katz. Yeah.
Danny Katz. Then Danny
Look,
Katz.
I'm like,
I know.
we gotta
Notes.
take the notes.
Notes.
Yep.
um, so are you a full-time podcaster at this point, or are you also still working in the industry as well? Or maybe have you turned more mentor to kind of pair with your
Hmm.
podcast?
Yeah, so I still do it all, right? I do the podcasting with the industry the way it is right now, the entertainment industry specifically. There's not a whole lot going on in our world professionally because COVID.
Right.
Uh, for that reason, I'm primarily podcasting, right? But I am still very much in the industry, both on the performance side, both and the corporate production side and the other side of the table, right? So I'm still in and amongst that, and then as well as like speaking and things like this. So
Right.
still all of it.
Got it. Got it.
Very cool.
Was COVID what kind of like gave you the push to start when you did start? Like, did you have fun?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I had the time. It's one of those things
Right.
that I had been throwing around for a while, and I had the idea of really creating the podcast came because, like I said, with my story, but I first started with creating a talk, right? That I would going to different schools or performing arts programs, excuse me, and I would share my insights that I've learned through my career, right? And how to transition, fill that gap between training and the real world. But I realized I'm like, as as great as I think my talk is and what I can offer a program, it's still only me, right?
Mhm.
It's only my personal experience. If I could talk to more people, we can get a better picture of what it really takes to make it in this industry and from so many different parts of the industry. And that's what really prompted me to do the podcast.
I really love that.
Same.
I think that's really awesome.
How do you keep the conversation going? Like, I know that you said you have a specific set of questions, but like,
Yeah.
have you ever had struggled with somebody who might not necessarily like interview well or is like kind of shy? And how do you keep things going in those situations?
Excuse me.
No problem.
Can cut that edit. That cough. 100%. I mean, luckily, I'm interviewing entertainers. So the benefit to entertainers is that people will mess something up, right? And that's fine, or you'll stumble over your words. And I make it very clear in the episode, like, look, this is pre-recorded. If you stumble over something, you need to go back, redo a section, you're not happy with it, do it. I'm going to chop it up, tighten it up, make you sound good. And so they have that, like, that bit of stress can be removed from them.
Yeah.
But also, it's that entertainers are great because you can say, oh, do it again. And they'll deliver it just like they did
Yeah.
with full energy and face the second, third, fourth time, again and again and again. So it's really convenient, I guess, that I am interviewing entertainers, but not everyone is a stage performer or entertainer on my podcast. I've got authors, I've got musicians, I've got people that are on the other side of the table, right? So
Wow.
those people bring different energies as
Right.
well.
Right.
And some people, you can tell they're not as comfortable speaking on a podcast, and that's totally cool. And I did find it a bit challenging at first, but over the last 100 or so episodes of recording, I felt like I've gotten a bit better at navigating the conversation as a podcaster and as a host, and trying to give prompts subtly, and ask questions that lead things into to get people to talk. So I've found that skill increase for myself, which has been pretty cool.
Yeah. No, that's a good way to look. I know it's like taking notes for us too.
Right. I'm like, jot, jot, jot. I'm literally typing over here. I'm trying to I'm listening, but I'm also like, okay, he's saying this right now. I'm gonna take all these notes down.
Little masterclass, right?
Literally. I wanted to know a little bit more like on the podcasting front, and would you say you're doing it kind of part-time? Yeah, since you're doing everything else as well.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a lot of time to do it, but yeah.
Right. So is the hope for it to, I know I already asked you like if it's full-time, but sorry, with a podcast, it can become a business. And so I wanted to know the differences between being, an entrepreneur and an entertainer. Are they kind of one and the same because of the hustle?
Yeah, I think they're very interrelated. And yes, with the podcast, the goal is to monetize the podcast in the future. Yeah, 100%, because it does take a lot of time, and it's incredible amounts of value. You know what I mean? And at the same time, it's all free, right? So, but I'm also being very choosy about the way I want to monetize. It'll only be brands or products or services that I personally either use or really truly believe in. So it'll only be stuff that I'm offering my audience that I know the audience will actually get value from.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm choosy with that when I'm going to move forward, but it's okay. It's a lot of value for free. So I don't think there's anything wrong with monetizing anything.
No,
but
absolutely.
As far as the parallels between entrepreneurship and being an entertainer, 100%. I think a lot of people will think, oh, artists are just these right brain people that are just creative and are completely hopeless when it comes to business.
Yeah.
And some are, and that can be a big struggle for us as entertainers, is that financial side and the business side of things. But the reality is that I think it's more empowering for entertainers to realize, hey, you already have like 99% of what the skill set of an entrepreneur or a business owner. You just have to make the connection, because in our industry, we have so much failure all the time. We always have to hustle. So we have to always be adjusting and figuring out where so we're the product and service, right, that we're selling.
Right.
And if you think of it that way, we have to find our market. We have to find out where our talents can be most served or are best
Useful.
used, right?
Right.
So that's very similar to being a business owner or an entrepreneur, right? And you have to try different tactics. You have to try different markets, figure out where you belong until you find something that hits, right? Also, we're very okay with risk, generally speaking, calculated risk.
Right.
But if you're going to be a professional entertainer, you're also signing up and being okay with not having a regular paycheck, not having health insurance, not having a 401k. Like that's on you, right?
Right.
And you have to be willing to take that on. And for a lot of the friends that I know personally that are not entertainers, the prospect of that is terrifying, right?
Right.
But for me, that's just life, and that's how I like life. And I've learned how to thrive in that. So that's also what an entrepreneur does. They're throwing themselves out there, taking their idea and making something happen with it. There's no guarantees, but we have a lot of confidence and a lot of faith that what we're bringing to the table has value and people will want it and there'll be a market for it.
He is just preaching.
I know. Like I loved all of this. Thank you so much.
I just like, I feel like I'm like, I don't even know what to ask because you're so well spoken. So it's like you're answering all my other questions as we go.
It's great. It is so great. What do you think is the best marketing strategy for a podcast, let alone yours? And like, where have you seen success with that?
For marketing for the podcast or for entertainers or
for you, for your podcast?
For the podcast? Yeah. So when I first went out, I really just kind of threw it out there. I had, social media accounts kind of everywhere and, here, there, everywhere, right? And I've done other entrepreneurial things in the past and created other businesses and things like this that have made money, but were never really scalable or weren't going anywhere. I'm like, all right, next. So I have all this social media presence, and I was going everywhere with the podcast and was realizing, okay, well, where are my people, right? I got to throw it out there, and realized that they're really only on Instagram, pretty much. So in the last couple of weeks, I would call it really kind of a relaunch. The last couple of weeks, I've rebranded everything. I redid my logo, made it pop more, so it's more obvious what it's about. It's more definitive in my summary, in my bio, and things like this about what the podcast is. And I've really just focused solely on Instagram and Facebook because it's so tied. But as far as marketing on Facebook, I think while it's good to do because it's there and it's easy through Instagram because they're so connected. Look, if you've got a business page, if you're not pumping money into your Facebook business page, no one's seeing it anyway because that's the way the algorithm works. You're going to get more organic search on Instagram versus Facebook.
I feel that.
I will also post on I do a LinkedIn Pulse story, but I do that because I also do transcriptions of the episodes. So I will do a LinkedIn Pulse story. I was posting my audiograms and stuff like that on LinkedIn, but there's no engagement there from my audience. But I do the LinkedIn Pulse primarily for SEO purposes. That's really it. But really, I'm really focused on Instagram, and it's really about being really communicative with my audience or with the audience, but also the guests that I have on the show.
Right.
So I'm very detailed in the onboarding of when people come on. They know exactly what to expect. I have follow-up emails. I have thank you emails. It's like, for instance, after you come on and you have an interview with me, I do a little story of the transcript and who I had on the story and said, hey, just wrapped up this interview with this person, tag them, everything. And then I do teaser videos of, hey, this person's coming up. So as much as possible, I try to get in front of people again and again and again, so they don't forget that their interview is going live, or, that they want to share it, maybe see that I'm putting a lot of effort into trying to pump them up. So then they go, oh, you know what? Let me share this as well. Of course, you can't control everyone, and some people are big sharers and other people aren't, and that's okay. But I think
I have a hard time shutting up personally.
Yeah. But I think it's just being consistent and being really helpful and being genuine to people, and that's been working.
That's awesome. Well, Dane, thank you so much for sharing all of those great podcasting tips. We are going to hop into another 2 to 3 minute break, and we're going to kind of just like continue this conversation. But we're going to talk more about how you can succeed in the entertainment industry and what it's looking like right now with COVID-19. But let's go ahead and hop into that break. You are listening to The Way with Jazz and Tay.
All right, welcome back, you guys, to The Way with Jazz and Tay. We just got back from our break. Sorry. Shantae, let's start that over.
Okay.
You were looking at me all crazy. Welcome back to The Way with Jazz and Tay. Before the break, we kind of grilled Dane a little bit about his podcast and got a lot of really good, insightful information and tips. So thank you
Yes.
so much for that.
My
Um,
pleasure.
Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue the conversation, switching gears a little bit to touch more on like the entertainment industry and what your knowledge is behind that. First, we did kind of touch on COVID already, but as far as like it affecting it, like we know that people are still like filming. Like I watched The Masked Singer, and they're
Right.
they're still
I want
doing
to know
this.
how they're doing that.
Yeah, and it's like it's funny because I see that they're socially distancing, but then there's certain times when like you see the hosts running by each other, and it's like, on TV, guys, come on, like.
Yeah, right.
But has that affected any like projects or things that you've been working on? Like how like did that stop anything for you? What does that look like as far as like moving forward? Do you know? Because it's still kind of like in a weird limbo.
Yeah, the entertainment industry is hands down, I think, one of the most impacted industries
Absolutely.
in COVID because, I mean, hospitality and entertainment. I think Vegas has a 25+% unemployment rate right now. So
Mm.
it's the largest in the country. That's the last stat I read, which was a while back. But it makes sense, right? The whole
Right. Oh
city,
yeah.
that's all it is entertainment and
Right. Yeah.
hospitality.
Right.
So it's not like out of left field. But yeah, my entire year, I had a crazy busy year
Mm.
between doing a bunch of corporate work, performance work, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And over the course of a few weeks, it all went away. Every
Yeah.
100% of it, right? And that's just what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really freak
Right.
out too much because you're like, well, it's happening to everybody. So
Exactly. Right.
it's I can't really be that upset. It is what it is, right? I was even supposed to I had a 2-week gig in Rome that I
Oh,
had
wow.
got canceled, but I found out about that gig just as COVID was hitting Italy,
Okay.
and I was like, well, I don't know if I'm gonna go. And
Right.
then,
And
a
then
few days later, they're like, nah, the
we're not
event is
doing that.
canceled. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But
I'm
what the industry is going to look like after this, I guess the short answer is I don't know. No one does, right? But I
Yeah.
ask a similar question to this in my podcast. So I've heard everything from
Mm-hmm.
it's the end of live theater to we're going to come back stronger than ever, So I think it's somewhere in between. I think there's going to be a lot of changes for
I
sure.
do. Yeah.
So, for instance, there's a lot of digital stuff going on. There's
Mm.
readings going on in Zoom. There's full-on Zoom productions happening. So people are continuing the work and doing that. There's lots of online Zoom dance classes, Zoom
Yep. Yep.
voice lessons, Zoom,
Right.
whatever it might be, really, in the arts is happening. So that's really cool and that's encouraging. Is it going to be sustainable for making money on a large scale the way like a Broadway show can? I
Right.
don't know. But I think it's
Yeah.
also, COVID has just fast forwarded us into the digitization of the entertainment industry. I think it was
Mm.
always an inevitability, and now we're just trying
Yeah.
to play catch up and make something happen of it really fast. I mean, it's even being adopted by giant companies like Disney, right? They got Disney
Yeah.
Plus, they got Hamilton on Disney. Diana, a new musical, is going to be streamed on Netflix.
Mm.
And then you've got Disney as well, kind of circumventing the entire movie theater industry with
In
Mulan,
general.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can, it's changes in the air, right?
Yeah.
Things are
Right.
definitely shifting. But as far as creativity and new works, I do think that the industry is going to be booming after this because creators are creating a lot of content
And
right
it's
now.
yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was speaking to his name is Benjamin Simpson. He was one of the episodes, can't remember the number, but he's a 2-time Tony Award-winning producer,
Oh, I love.
and he was saying, look, before COVID, my day to day took up all my time just to keep the business running. I was busy from morning to night,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Now his business is basically flatlined for the time being, but instead now he has the time to read the scripts from those playwrights, listen to the music from those new composers.
Mm.
And that's what's going to happen. So not only is there a lot of content being created, the producers, the people that have the money, the people that have the ability to make that production something,
Yeah.
they're also having the opportunity to read and consume that content and find some really great stories out there. So I think that's going to really happen. And then as far as performers,
Mhm.
I think there's going to be a huge boom there as well, because there's going to be a lot of people that will simply leave the industry.
Mm.
They will have either been younger and said, you know what, I can't wait around. I'm not doing this arts thing. And they're just going to not pursue the arts anymore. And that's fine. That's what they needed to do for them. And then there's going to be other people that are maybe their mid 30s, early 40s, that have been in the industry. They've been having great successful careers. They've networked themselves. The work just kind of finds them. And it's pretty easy. They don't have to hustle so much
Yeah.
anymore. But then now that this is all gone, some of those companies that they worked for are going to be out of business, or they're going to come back to the industry when it opens up and say, look, I don't want to hustle anymore. I'm done. And they're going to walk away, which is going to leave thousands and thousands of different opportunities
Right.
for that new generation of people to come in there and take those jobs. It's going to be a huge boom, I think.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I've been thinking about that too, actually, because we've looked at how much time we've had to create more content and kind of think of different ideas. And I can't even
Yeah.
imagine, like, even some of our favorite, like, musical artists have been putting out music
A
and
lot
stuff,
more
you know,
music.
and I was
Yeah.
thinking about that, like, with concerts moving forward too. Like, a lot of people have been having live concerts, and when you can just have one live concert that everyone can stream, you don't need to worry about touring and going to like different
Right.
cities and things like that
Right.
kind of
Exactly. I
thing.
mean, it's hard. I love the streaming concerts and things like this. It's hard. Like the thing that people will always lack is that in-person feeling.
The
You can't.
energy.
How do you duplicate that energy? I don't
Well,
think you can.
and even
You
artists have
can't.
said that too. They're like, honestly, performing live in front of no one it doesn't feed me anything. I
Yeah.
don't
It's
get
hard. It's
anything.
really hard. Yeah, it's really hard to put all of that, because just as much as when you're on stage, just as much as you're giving all your energy out and all of your emotion out to the audience, you're also taking in energy
Yeah.
from the audience, which
Yeah.
helps fuel you through your performance and makes your
Right.
performance better. So it's a two-way street for everybody. And it's tough to not have that. But I think it's going to be a long time, though, before we
Yeah.
have music festivals, big arena concerts. I don't think those are going to be coming back anytime soon in their traditional sense. But what is happening, say, in Vegas, is it's going kind of back to its roots. It's going more to that cocktail lounge. That's really what's happening right now, is
Mhm.
Yeah.
the smaller stages, the smaller
Intimate.
band. Yeah, because you can set up a handful of tables, spread them out, get everyone a cocktail, get some food, do that kind of dinner theater thing, and have people watch an incredible show. But it's on a much smaller scale,
Scale,
right? And
yeah.
I think there's gonna be a lot more of that kind of stuff happening, especially at first.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I want to back up a little bit to something that you said about, digital, like going digital, and, they're putting Hamilton on like streaming services, all of that. I just wanted to kind of stay in that mind frame.
Yeah.
Um, Now that everyone is going digital and there are entertainers and, comedians popping up from like Instagram and TikTok and
Yeah.
even Vine, um, would you say that social media is, like, as a seasoned professional, would you say that social media is a great way to push out your content and yourself now? And what do you think the best way to get exposure out is?
Yeah, I think
Would you
social media is huge.
recommend? Sorry.
Social media is huge. It depends on what you're doing, right? You have to find where your audience is. You have to be purposeful about what you're putting out there. I don't want to just blast it out like a shotgun. You know what I mean? Like, you can do that at first and figure out where you're getting some eyeballs and some traction. Sure.
Mhm.
But I think you have to be focused on where your audience is. Maybe it is TikTok. Maybe it is Instagram. Maybe it's LinkedIn. Who freaking knows? But whatever it is that you're doing and whatever you're creating and putting out there, find out where your people are and then go there. And I think social media is incredibly important because everyone can do it. It doesn't cost you anything but time, really. Of course, you can spend ads and do that if you want to go down that rabbit hole. But it is a platform that allows you to be discovered. It's there's a lot of content out there. It's hard to get discovered,
Right,
And
right.
so that's a real thing, and I don't really know the way around that except for just do really good content and be
Right.
super
Consistent.
Right. Yeah.
It's consistency and being interactive with whoever your audience might be. But as far as, say, entertainers, I think Instagram is vital for entertainers.
Yeah.
You have to think of Instagram really as your running resume, because in our world, you submit for a job, you go to auditions. It is very common practice, especially on the West Coast, but it's becoming a thing on the East Coast too, which is more traditional, that they also ask for your Instagram handle when
Yep.
you audition.
Yeah.
They want to see who you are as a real person, but really what they're looking for is how many followers do you have, how consistently do you post content, and what do you do? You know what I mean?
Right. No, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
want that, and they only want it for one reason. It's all marketing. It's free marketing, and that's you have to think of it as a business as well. They don't
Right.
really care that you're posting photos. They care that you have people that care about you,
Right.
because now whatever project you're on, they know you're going to document that on social media,
Right.
and then you're going to share that with your audience, and they're going to know about what you're doing, and then they're going to know about that person's show. It's all free marketing. So you
Right.
have to think of it as a business, in a business sense.
Mm-hmm.
So having Instagram is super vital.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
I know. I've only recently like kind of really picked up on that and seen how much it's worked for me in growing kind of like my audience and things like
Yeah.
that. What is some of the worst career advice that you have taken?
Ooh.
Ooh. How about this? The worst career advice I ever received, I didn't listen to him, and I did it anyway.
Which
guess-
honestly is usually what kind of happens. I'm like, I'm gonna do it
Yeah.
anyways. Screw
So,
you.
how about this? They thought they were giving me really great advice. I said,
Mm.
you know what? I think you're wrong, and I did it anyway. And it turns out to be the best thing probably any entertainer could probably do for themselves, in my opinion. And that was when someone said, "Oh, you should never do cruise ships." And I said, "Really?" I said, "Oh, because there's this, or there was, especially was, but still, even a little bit today, there's this misconception that cruise ships just have these really kitschy, kind of low budget, whatever shows on them. And there's production shows. They're not high art, and people aren't winning Tonys and things like this. Sure, that's maybe some of that's true, right? But at the same time, ships are amazing. I will preach everyone should go on a ship as a professional entertainer all the time, forever, because for a lot of reasons. First off, you get more performance reps and experience on a stage than you're going to get pretty much anywhere. There's not really a regional theater that you could go do shows in. There's not Broadway show that you could do that is going to give you as much variety in the performance variety and style of show that you're going to get and the reps that you're going to get on stage than a ship. You just aren't going to get it.
Yeah.
Second, you're traveling to beautiful places, because I have yet to know of a ship that goes
Right.
to a crappy place.
You know, yeah,
Right.
right? That part.
Third,
That's all I heard.
yeah. Third, you are improving your skill set, right? And you are also getting to create a network of people in this industry. You also get a crash course to figure out if this industry is something you actually want to do. Because a lot of people enter this industry and they go, I want to sing and dance. But then when you go, ooh, do you really want to sing and dance 10 shows a week? You know, that's hard.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not for everybody.
No.
And if it is for you, it's best to figure that out. Well, you want to figure that out in a 6-month period than wasting a decade and then figuring that out. Figure it out quickly. And so then you can move on and make better decisions for your career. And
Right.
then also, you make great money.
Yeah.
Because on a ship, you don't spend anything.
Right.
You
Where are
don't
you
have to.
going?
Yeah, the only thing you spend on is stuff for your own pleasure. You don't pay for rent, you don't pay for food, you don't pay for travel, you don't pay for insurance, you don't pay for a cell phone, like nothing. You don't pay for anything. So you keep more of your money. So it's a great way to even save up money. Say New York City is the thing you want to do Broadway. That's cool, but it's also really expensive to live in New York City and to hit up every single audition every day. That's a full-time job if you want to do that properly. So I would recommend, I mean, it's a solution. Get yourself on a ship, do a contract or two, save up $40,000-ish, and then go to New York City with some of that money. Now you've got lots of performance experience.
Yeah.
You're confident and you have cash so you can actually hit the Broadway circuit really
What
hard.
an Easter egg.
Like seriously.
Yo,
No, that's
I
dope.
wish I had met you when I graduated college. I legitimately thought about joining a cruise ship. And
Oh, they're amazing.
I think like the year I graduated, I went to the Bahamas on my very first
Mm.
cruise. And
Mm.
like, I was just like, this would be awesome. Like, you just kind of like, I would have loved to have been a coordinator of like the decks when they're doing the shows. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're just out here partying. You're like grabbing folks out of the crowd or the
Yeah.
shows that were there too. We loved them. There was this one dancer that was fine. And I'll remember him to this day. He was just a tall drink of water, but
Yeah, I took
But,
we had a master class once from a guy that was on a cruise ship.
mm,
I'll never forget Thaddeus Cervantes. Like he was, and he said it
mm.
like that every time, Thaddeus. But same, like it was a different. I never had a teacher that kind of like had that experience or style or like that background,
right.
and it was completely new for our studio to like have somebody like that. So it was really fun and interesting. And I think he had like maybe 5 or 6 years on a
Wow.
ship. He was
Yeah,
doing
and
the thing.
and the shows that are on ships, sure, if it's an older ship, the show isn't going to be as spectacular, but they're all really, really good.
Mhm.
And then you go to the bigger ships, the budgets that these companies, these are multi-billion-dollar companies with insane budgets.
Wow.
The budgets that they allocate for their production showrooms are out of control. Almost no other theater that you're ever going to go to that's going to be as high tech as a ship theater. I think the closest thing that you might find would be a Cirque du Soleil show.
Ooh.
There's so much tech because it's also floating in the ocean, so they have to take other safety precautions, and
Yeah.
the way they do flies and things have to be on tracks and automations. It's crazy, but
Yeah.
a lot of people don't think that. And I've spoken to so many people. They're like, "Yeah, I did ships, and I went on. I was blown away at the tech." I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. And they're
That is
fun, and it's fun to
hilarious.
be part of a cast or be part of a cast where you have all of that kind of tech and that kind of
Yeah.
set behind you, and then beautiful costumes. I don't know, I love ships.
Every day's the Beyonce concert, essentially.
Pretty much.
Dane, if you could tell our listeners where they can find your podcast and more about you. And then we're gonna go ahead and do our recap of the show and judge whether or not it was the way or not the way.
Cool.
I've got a
All
surprise.
right,
It's
so
gonna be
if
the
you-
way. Sorry.
So if you want to come check out You Booked It podcast, it's pretty easy. Just search You Booked It literally anywhere you listen to podcasts. It'll pop up, subscribe, and check it out. If you want to check me out on Instagram, you can go to You Booked It Podcast or youbookeditpodcast.com if you want to go to the website, if you're a website kind of person, and check it out. It is literally the #1 resource of expertise on the subject of how to create a successful career in this industry. So if you are an aspiring professional entertainer, you want to have a career in the entertainment industry, you are currently a professional entertainer, or you're an educator in the arts or the entertainment industry, I would make this podcast required listening for yourself or your students, because the amount of insight and value and actionable insight that is given by every single guest is truly invaluable to your career. So make sure you subscribe, listen to the episodes. You will not regret it.
That was awesome.
I'm a fan
Thank
already.
you. I know.
Look.
Seriously. We've already got so many shows that we're ready to listen to. Like
So very quickly, let's go ahead and recap our episode. Most memorable casting calls.
the way. Still blown away by
Like,
that. Incredible.
The situation wasn't the way,
Right.
but like the
But it worked out.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All that stress, but oh man, that's like Kobe when he had. I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
Never
don't
mind.
do
I
that.
take it
I don't
back.
need
We're
to
cutting
cry
that out.
today. Oh.
Ah.
A review and discussion of the You Booked It podcast. definitely the way.
Absolutely.
Again, you are definitely knowledgeable about what you do and what you're talking about. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes for you.
And I really like
thank you.
your
June.
style of asking all of the same questions to
Yes.
all of your guests to get different perspective on the same issues. Like people are wondering the same thing, but might have a completely different situation.
Mhm.
So I think that's really
Yeah.
great as well.
Yeah, definitely going to be the way.
Oh, thank you.
And we asked them, like, see how to succeed in the entertainment industry during COVID and all that kind of stuff. Definitely the way. You
And what's to
again.
come.
Yeah.
I like that you're hopeful for the future
Yes.
because it
Not-
right now it feels hard, but it's like what's the alternative?
Yeah.
Really.
Exactly.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's episode of The Way with Jazz and Tay featuring Dane Reis.
Hey.
We will see you guys next week. Bye.
Peace.
As always, thank you so much for tuning into The Way. Catch you next week, same time, same place. Follow us on Instagram at The Way Jazz and Tay and on Twitter at The Way JT. Don't be afraid to DM us if you have any questions or suggestions about the show. Until next time, bye. Peace.